That's a magnificent piece of defending by Ledley.
As the last captain to win something at Spurs,
I would be doing a disservice to Spurs fans if I didn't ask what happened with Lasagne-gate.
Sol Campbell came before you, right?
What was that like though when he did leave?
But let me tell you what happened. In my mind, I wanted to be the best in the world.
They're bred with that dogism.
I haven't seen anyone in the Tottenham kit play like that. We were hoping that we could maybe get the game postponed or do something, because it was just, I just thought at the time, this is just our luck, innit?
Yeah.
It's Tottenham. I actually got a text saying that the manager's gone. What? We're watching the game. I remember losing one game, and it still hurts me to this day. What it means for the fans. My first manager was George Graham when I come through. He saw me more as a midfielder. I'm starting to have knee problems already by 25. Wow. No, it's tough. I was probably depressed looking back at it. It's a stitch up, yeah?
That is.
Only time he spoke more than me ever was when we was out having a drink.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can work as a
Maybe the
partnership,
words,
I'm telling you.
And Facetime, José. Didn't even know he had my number.
I mean,
He was a madman in the changing room. Before a game, man, he had DMX pumping up in the thing. But do you know where the kids know me from now? FIFA.
have you seen Thierry Henry's care about you?
You think I'm going to let that go unmissed?
I believe under Ange, Spurs will ... Welcome back to another episode of FCM Football Culture Movement. You already know what time it is. Listen, of late, we've given you some amazing stuff. We gave you FCM Court. We gave you Games Night with SDS. We've given you watch-alongs. We've given you United L's. But listen, today, this week, we've got something really, really special for you, man. But it's not right of me to do the introduction this week. This is a special moment. We have Spurs heritage and Spurs heritage. So, if you must, Fuad Kadani, please take the floor away.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted. In fact, I am honoured to present you with Tottenham Hotspur royalty today. A real leader of men. A real Rolls-Royce defender. 7 years my captain. 323 appearances for one club. 14 goals scored. A lion. England international. The one. The only. Ledley King is in the building. Did I miss anything?
Listen, I feel like I'm ready to go there, right?
Let's go. It's only right.
I'm ready, bro.
Listen, man, you have to
only
give respect,
right.
man. Listen, that's so mad because the last time we saw, I tried to disrespect you on the stage.
You did, yeah. I forgot that.
King's
I
name,
forgot
man.
that,
Cool
yeah.
now.
How are you, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good,
things,
I'm good.
man?
Yeah, no, blessed.
Obviously,
Appreciate
like,
you
interesting
being
time
here,
for you
man.
at the moment. Thank you for coming first and
pleasure.
foremost. But interesting time for you at the moment with, you know, your new capacity at the club. Like, how does it feel being involved with everything that's going on at Spurs right now, man?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved as an ambassador now for going on to 13 years. It's that long since I retired, which is crazy. Yeah, I love it. You know, the day I retired, they offered me a role as an ambassador. So yeah, it gave me a new responsibility, kind of took my mind off being retired, because, you know, it's never easy when you retire from doing something you've done from a very young age. So having a new responsibility was good for me. You know, no time to dwell on it.
Yeah.
Was able to kind of move into a new role, and I've enjoyed it. I love it. I love the traveling side of it, going meeting fans around the world, match days, you know, working with sponsorships, partners, and, you know, just being able to see and meet the fans all over really is a blessing.
I was going to say, it's one of the moments where, as an ambassador, you almost feel like the rewards of being that one club man, isn't it? Where having spent your whole career, you don't see that very often nowadays. It's so few and far. You get like the Maldinis, very few and far. But now, almost post-retirement, am I right in saying you almost feel that love back now?
Yeah. I think you kind of reap the rewards of the loyalty, which is great. I've had a great relationship with the football club, with the fans, you know, since I made my debut, really. But when you're playing, you're in a bubble. You know, you don't really come out of that bubble. You know, you're very focused. You don't get a chance to really speak to the fans on the same level that I'm able to now. You know, so being out and about now, I'm able to travel the world, get up close and personal with fans.
Yeah.
You know, they show me love, and we
definitely.
share stories.
This
And it's
year-
Do you
fun.
ever get to just walk into the dressing room? Like, do they ever does Ange ever just say,
Come speak to the youth.
Romero getting too many red cards?
Listen. I've heard Ange is legendary. His team talks.
Yeah.
Already, you've seen him. You know the way he speaks. You know, he's good. But I go down the training ground. I kind of, watch the training, speak to the lads, speak to the manager a bit.
But I feel like now, almost post-retirement, getting to tell your story as well, and almost I know you don't even do many media appearances.
This is an
per
honour.
se, so honestly, that's why I'm actually glad you're here, even to kind of delve into kind of some of your stories and kind of into your career a little bit. And before we even dive into Tottenham, because that is,
We've got to take it back.
I want to even
We've
go
got
back
back.
before that, because there's stories before that. Obviously, growing up in the 80s in East London.
Yep.
Senrab.
Well,
is almost
that sounded wrong for us. Growing up in the how old I am, man, in the 80s.
the realities are trust me,
it's true,
I'm
man.
getting up there now. So.
Growing up in the 80s,
But it's
true.
like going back to even before Tottenham, you started off with Senrab,
Yeah.
and it's almost like whispers of the names that have been spoken of. But can you speak of some of the players that you played with, kind of growing up before you even played with Tottenham?
Yeah, so my Sunday league team was a team called Senrab. We had 5 players that went on to play in the Premier League from a group of 9-10-year-olds.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. At the time, of course, we didn't know how good we were going to be, but I suppose we all pushed each other because we all wanted to be the best players. So there was myself, Paul Konchesky, Bobby Zamora, J. Samuel, and John Terry.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
So
Back then, I was used to winning everything. I was winning everything back then. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So were you two a centre-back pairing at that time then?
No,
or-
John was midfielder, He played in midfield. He was a small midfielder.
Yeah.
But he had, what set John apart was, he was, like, he could pass, right? He was strong in the air for someone who was quite short. Tackling and putting his head on the floor when 10-year-olds don't do that kind of thing. Tackling with the head and that. So he was different.
Some man are born with that.
That
They're
dog.
bred with
Yeah,
that dogism almost. You gotta love that.
We
And
could see that. We could see
am I right in saying also all them years where you guys kind of played together as a group, you only lost one game?
I remember losing one game, and it still hurts me to this day.
I need to know about that game. I need to know about who beat the super team.
Did you guys score? I hope it was a clean sheet for the other team.
No, it was it.
They had-
It was.
oh.
But let me tell you what happened. We heard about a team south of the river.
South
was,
London.
at the time. That was So we were East London team.
Come on, man.
We heard about a team. I don't know if it's still going on, or I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was a team called Valley Valiants at the time.
Okay.
And it was Scott
Charlton
Parker.
sides.
It was
That's
Scott
Charlton
Parker's
sides,
team.
yeah.
So it was Scott Parker. And we heard that they were the big dogs over that side. And they said, let's just make some game between the two of us. So we played a game, and about 75 minutes into the game, the manager takes me and one of my good friends off. The game's 0-0.
Wow.
This is like, we're talking about kids football.
Yeah,
It's 0-0. That's when you know the quality's high. When there's a lot of stake. It's 0-0. 75 minutes gone. He takes me and another player off. Brought on 2 trialists. Last 15 minutes. And we lost 2-0.
No, that's always the gamble.
We lost 2-0.
That's always the big
Them
gamble.
childish need to be
we-
name and shame.
I don't know their
Ruining
name.
history.
That was the end of them. But I'm still vexed from that time.
But even like saying that losing one game in how many years, especially at young group, you wouldn't have known that you're going to go on and become professionals.
No.
But even playing in amongst that, did you know that it was a special group? Like the names you're mentioning, those are accomplished footballers.
Yeah, probably not at the time. We knew that we was a good team. We was winning everything, but and we knew that a lot of the players were at professional clubs at a young age. But I don't think we really. I think individually we all looked at ourselves and thought about where we would go on our own careers, our own paths. But I don't think we looked at it collectively like, 5 of us, 6 of us are going to make it and become professionals.
But that's the next question, because even looking at your own sort of pathway as such, for you at that time in that group, you just said basically, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but when the manager took me off, we lost. That's the L we took. Did you know at that level that there was something special about you? Because the story of your career is people constantly speak about just how much of a maverick you were. Did you know it then that you had that?
Probably at like 10, 11, no. I was 10, no. At Senrab, no.
Okay.
Right? So I'm in a mix of kids. I always say you'd have to ask the parents because I was too young playing with good players to recognise if I was particularly stand out or not. When I went to secondary school, I would say when you go to secondary school, you're 11 or whatever, and then you realise this kid's 3-4 years older than you in the school, and then when you're the best kid in the school in the first year, then you think, okay, I'm pretty good. I am pretty good. So that's when I really recognised my talent. And then at 14, when I joined Tottenham at 14, being the best player when I walked into the place, then again you look at it and think, okay, right, yeah. No,
Was it when you signed for Spurs? Was it almost like, because sometimes you walk into signing for a big club and you think, oh, everyone's going to be at that level. Was you surprised that walking in you were straight away the best?
Probably a little bit, yeah. Because what happened was Leyton Orient was our local team to Senweb, right? So we all went to Leyton Orient originally, and then slowly but surely we all left and went to different places. So I joined Tottenham with two of my good friends at the time, and yeah, I suppose, you walk into a huge club. We used to train at the stadium. There was a little ball court in the stadium. So just walking in the gates, you know what I mean? You're in awe of everything. So yeah, to then go and kind of start training and realise that you're the best quite early on. There's another confidence boost.
Was anyone else interested, out of curiosity? Because obviously after that signing at 14, you essentially don't leave the club.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious, were there moments where before it all started, maybe Chelsea or something?
Before it was started, there was interest. But I tell the truth, I was kind of at the mercy of my friend's dad because he took me football with his son everywhere. So no scouts are coming up to me to talk. They're going to be talking to him. So whatever he would have told me or not told me, it was up to him. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I don't know if we're going to work with his son as well. Do you know what I mean? Because his son comes to Tottenham with me.
Okay.
So when I joined Tottenham, I didn't know if I was part of his deal or my deal, or he was part of my deal. But we just all went together.
Hazard, Dorgan, Hazard.
You know what I mean? So, listen, for all I know, he was the man they wanted, and I come along as part of. I don't know. All I know is three of us went there together, and that was that.
Was the dad? Was he a Tottenham fan?
No.
Did you grow up a Tottenham fan?
Yeah, this is my best friend at the time. So best friends from like 5-6. He was a Millwall supporter.
Wow,
that was the first team. That was the first team that was the first game I ever went to watch because his dad took me and him.
But do you know what's so mad though? Loads of people say that. Like Wrighty said something similar. Loads of people because it's such a centralised club. Loads of people's first experience of either playing professional, like playing in the academy, or going to watch a match is Millwall. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So I went and not comfortable at all.
No. Especially that era. Nah.
So then it was Tottenham after that. So yeah.
Who were some of the players that you kind of graduated with through those years, kind of when you joined the academy, before you kind of broke through?
So when I joined at 14, that's before schoolboy level. Peter Crouch was there.
South.
And then the only other player that come through was a lad called Alton Felwell.
Yeah.
So he played maybe about 30 games in the first team. So we were the only two really that come through at that age. Crouch left.
Yeah.
At 18, 19, he got his professional contract, but at 18, 19, we sold him, and then we bought him back about 10 years later.
Yeah. Hey, the bits.
And he came
Champions
League. You think I forget? Versus Man City. I will never forget that. I will never forget that.
But even that itself is like, it's something that's not spoken about a lot in football, because obviously people see people going on to be professionals, and it's like, right, you've made it. But at every single point, it feels like you're having to fight, and especially someone that supports the club. Like, what was it like being in that situation where you're one of a few that actually get through that door, especially at that time as well?
Yeah, it's difficult because when you're in the youth team, you make good friends with people. I'm still friends with some of the guys now, but it's been so long that I forget that he was in the youth team with it because they've just been my friends. They stopped playing football. Like 20 years ago. And I forget. Wait, you was on that journey with me. You had dreams of the same dreams that I had at that age. And then, that got taken away from you. And that was sad at the time. I remember, when you lose some of your good friends at the time, it's sad.
Yeah.
But, the journey goes on. That's football, Players are always coming and going along the way, but you have to stay focused and stay along your path.
It's funny you mentioned Peter Crouch there as well, because I read somewhere him saying your path to the first team was almost like painted with roses. At what point did you feel like I'm going to be a first teamer for sure? Or was there a point where you thought that coming through the academy?
I always thought I was going to be a footballer.
Yeah.
I always thought I was going to be a professional footballer.
There was no question in your mind?
No.
Yeah.
No, there wasn't. But I say that probably I was naive back then. A kid, you ask any young kid.
Every kid thinks,
I'm going to be a footballer.
I'm going to be a footballer.
So I was the same. But at the same time, I wanted to be, in my mind, I wanted to be the best in the world at a young age. And then I realised the world is big. There's some other players that are a little bit more techie and a little bit short, twist and turn. You know what I mean? There's players like Messi out there. Like, that's not really me. But I want to be the best defender in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, my mentality was to be the best in my position.
I want to speak to that though, because one thing that's synonymous with your career, and Phil had mentioned at the top, Roy's voice. This is something that I always heard about you: luxurious, make centre half look like poetic to play.
You used to come off the pitch with your kit
Shut
almost
clean, yeah. Like who were some of your influences for you that kind of almost enabled you to play that way?
Yeah. I think because I was a footballer in my head before a defender. Right? When they put me as a defender from a very young age, I was almost like I wanted more. I didn't want to just be someone who just stopped people. So I had to think I want to make this more enjoyable for me. So that meant like doing things on the ball as well. So I want to take the ball off you, but now I want to go past you as well. And that's what I enjoyed. Do you know what I mean? I loved making. I wanted the forward to think, oh, he's good. Not just he just stopped me.
That was almost like a signature move of yours, where you would dispossess a centre forward and wait for them to come before you just quickly sell them. And is that something you almost practiced from young?
I wouldn't say I practiced it. It's just something that was like the way I was and the way I played the game. You know, I just kind of had it in my locker. But people like Maldini was my favorite. Like, Italian football was big back in the 90s. And Thuram. So they were defenders that I just enjoyed watching. There was no stress. They didn't play with stress. I loved that kind of defender. So, you know, going back to clean kit or whatever, I didn't slide that much unless I had to. I always trusted my legs to work my feet, to be quick on my feet, my sprinting. And I did prefer to defend that way rather than diving in, kind of getting taken, like, you know. Once you're on the floor, you're gone. You're done. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't like that feeling of being left for nothing.
This guy, hatchet man. All he cares about is broken bones.
I love the jewels. I love the challenges.
Straight in?
Not straight in. It's got to be timed right, of course. And you can't always dive in. As a centre back, you've always got to measure your tackles. But I love the jewels. I don't like pulling out.
His favourite defender, that's not you, is Materazzi. That just tells you.
Sergio Ramos.
Don't change it. Don't change it.
Do you know what?
Don't change it.
No,
Very slept
that
on.
makes us very different. But maybe it would work. We could
work as a partnership. I'm telling you.
So I spoke to Rio. I said, look, we got Ledley coming on. Like, can you say a few things about him? And he gave me a voice note that I'm going to play now. I don't know if you might be able to hear it.
Yes, bro. Ledley King, man. What comes to mind when someone mentions Ledley's name? One of the smoothest centre-backs to do it. Both feet, comfortable. Like, the game just come easy to him. And I think it was only injuries that prevented him playing more times for England. 100% one of the top defenders that played on pure ability. We're just putting ability down on the table and saying, right, there it is. Natural, raw ability. He's bang up there. Seriously. And nothing ever looked like it just made him have to rush. The game might be flying around all around him, but my man will just be smooth. Like, that was Ledley, man. Leathers. Funny, man. Only time he spoke more than me ever was when we was out having a drink.
But I mean, man, that's glowing words, man. So, I mean, it just shows the appreciation that everybody has for you. And we're going to go on and speak about your Spurs career as well. Yeah. But just before we move into that, obviously, Sol Campbell came before you, right? Did you have pressure thinking, I'm in the same position, both black centre halves as well? Did you think to yourself, I've got a bit of pressure to be like Sol Campbell? And of course, we're going to talk about him going to the red side later, but you know what I mean? Did you have that, did you look at him as inspiration? Did you see it as a challenge for yourself?
Firstly, Sol was a captain when I was kind of young and coming through. Played with Sol a bit, but they put me in midfield. So my first manager was George Graham when I come through. He saw me more as a midfielder. So I've gone from playing centre-back my whole career, my whole young kind of life, to then going into the first team and the manager seeing me more as a midfielder. So then I start playing midfield. But Sol was someone that I realised come from the East End. And as simple as me realising he come from close to where I grew up, I thought to myself, if he can do it, I can do it. And I always say that to young kids, that sometimes we think that the area we grow up in is going to define us. And even for me, it took me to realise that this is Sol Campbell, the person I've been watching on TV, but he's from just around there. So that means I can do it. But did I feel pressure? Do you know what? It was a weird one, because when Sol left, obviously there's a big. I don't even know what to say. It was a big one. It was big. But the fans, they took to me. Do you know what I mean? Because I was the next guy who was going to start playing for them. So they gave me love straight away. So I didn't really feel the pressure. I just went out there and played. I just played my stuff, and they enabled me to feel that. That love to help me relax and do what I did. So, I wouldn't say I felt the pressure. No.
What was that like though when he did leave? Because I can imagine from the outsiders as fans looking in, obviously we're gonna have the visceral reaction or whatever. But as teammates, almost, how does that kind of what happens in the dressing room?
I mean, I was young, so I didn't really look at it too much. Obviously, he left to join the Rivals, but I've always been of that opinion that when someone leaves, let them go, they're gone. We've got a group here, and then we're going to move on with this group. At the same time, I'm trying to establish my own career. So, I mean, at this point, I'm playing in midfield. I see myself as a centre-back. When he leaves, I'm already thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to start playing centre-back. But obviously, I understand how big a thing it was to leave. But it was more, I'd say it's more the fans that kind of saw it as it was, rather than the players. The players were a little bit shocked because of the team that he chose. There was. I'm sure there was other options that he had. So there was a certain element of shock. But as players, you just move on quickly.
I remember David Dean gave a conversation with Wrighty, and how it broke down and how Sol was in David Dean's house for hours in the middle of the night. And when you hear it from that perspective, it's like the Sol was almost too good, and it's like they convinced him so much that nothing will happen to you. He was like, you know what? And then there was this whole thing about stunt doubles, someone going to somewhere else because they thought he was going to turn up, then he wasn't there, and then he was actually on Vaden.
It must have been a tough decision. Do you know what I mean? Because naturally, I think that's the last place that you're going to go, or you want to go. So it must have been a good sale. I know maybe it was London. Maybe it was the team that Arsenal had at the time. But if you make that decision, I suppose you're gonna have to then,
as you lay your bed.
And that's the thing. I'm sure he doesn't regret it. He's gone on to be invincible and everything. And
I think he regrets the way the way the fans feel about him. Whereas there's something special about where you kind of start and you come up through the youth team. You're the captain of a football club. To have a bad relationship with that set of fans and that football club, it's quite tough.
Yeah.
It's quite tough to have. But, as I say, Sol's gone on to win things and be one of the best to do it.
And then it allows you to kind of break through as well. So it's a win-win, I guess.
It's something I want to touch on, right? Because that voice note, by the way, is crazy. And look at, I was speaking to Rio. Rio sent me a voice note.
Send me some voice notes. Send me some voice notes.
You know he's in his phone,
But what I wanted to speak on is, one thing Rio mentions is, of course, you playing more. He speaks about, ability and you playing more and everything. And you're speaking about, you're playing in midfield a lot. So when was the first time you actually played in the back four? Was that Euros?
Well, because what happened after playing in midfield?
Yeah.
Glenn Hoddle took over as manager.
We had
played
a
the
couple
back
of
three.
managers.
Played the back three.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the back three.
Yeah.
Glenn's there a couple of years, leaves, kind of halfway through a season. David Pleat takes over, puts me back in midfield.
Yeah.
I end up going to the Euros and play centre half in the back four against France. The first time in the back four.
Wow. Crazy.
But randomly, I'm playing with Sol. I'm playing with me and Sol.
What could have been, What could have been, man?
Who would have thought?
Randomly. So yeah, that was the first time I really could. I think I played in the back four in one warm-up game, one friendly game against Portugal, which was my full debut. Wow. And then the next time was the France game.
I think the way you play though always kind of allows you to almost slot into that midfield role or at centre back, I guess, in a 3 or a 2. So it really wasn't a difficult transition, was it?
Do you know what? It wasn't. I found it easy.
Yeah.
Actually, moving into a back four, I found it easier. As a three centre backs, there's a lot more running you have to do. You're out on the wings quite a bit. When I was playing, I was allowed to get forward, up and down. There was times where I was on the left wing crossing balls in. it was bad. But Glenn Hoddle encouraged us to play, go out and play, bring the ball out. You end up coming out, going past someone, or you play a 1-2. Next thing you know, you're on the left wing. Yeah, trying to step over as I'm trying to. You know what I mean? It's bad. So
there's one thing that I've noticed, right? Optics. I've just noticed in the camera. Yeah, this doesn't look good. Look what's behind him.
What's up, man?
You lot on? Hey. Nah, Cams,
this is poor.
Please sort that out.
Let's get a Spurs.
That is no.
What's this all about?
Yeah, please.
It's a stitch up, yeah?
That is, we see what you try to do there. Thank you very much, Cams, for that. Yes.
Respect these days. It's out the window.
Nice one.
It's out the window. Whilst Cam is doing that, with what you mentioned about the way you played and everything, right? Of course, there's a lot of the stuff we're talking, especially around your career, that is being mentioned is in the injury and everything around that.
Yep.
A lot of people see injuries and I don't think they sympathize with what it actually does to a human being.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, when it first started happening, how difficult was that to contend with? Because you're talking about being this dynamic player that goes to different parts of the field, step overs. How did it feel when you have this thing that's sort of enabling you from being who you are, how you express yourself?
And just to add to that as well, when was almost like that first? Because I think it's almost like your injuries are almost so synonymous with you.
But when did it actually?
Everyone knows kind of like the root point of it.
But you got as I was saying, when I started to play in a back four in the Euros, I'm 23, right? I'm starting to have knee problems already by 25.
Wow.
So I'm missing the odd day training. My knees kind of giving me a bit of jip.
Yeah.
This is when Martin Yeo was a manager at the time. Yeah. So I missed the odd day training here and there. When Martin left, I had a big operation on my knee and my knee was just never the same. Wow. Never the same. So literally from 26 to 31, there was no training, just playing games. Yeah. My knee would just blow up. So I'd be in the gym all week, in the swimming pool. Come back out.
Hydrotherapy, right?
Yeah. Come back out on a Friday. Sometimes couldn't even train. My knee still felt that bad. So give it 24 hours. And then the manager would say to me, how is it on match day? I'd say, we go. Play the game, same thing again next week, that was it. But the biggest thing was muscle injuries because I couldn't replicate sprinting, jumping, twisting, turning. I'd play 3 or 4 games and then I'd feel my groin. Play 3 or 4 games, hamstring. So I'd have to keep coming back from that. And that was for 5 years, really. I had that kind of pattern.
Mentally, though, how tough is that? Because,
tough.
in these times now where social media is such a thing, you've got loads of players that actually speak about injuries, like Tyron Mings talking about his ACL, and it's kind of really refreshing for people to realise the day-to-day what goes into it. But at that time, like mentally, how difficult was it getting through?
No, it's tough. I was probably depressed looking back at it. Your team go out to train every single day, and you go to the gym, and you know there comes a point where you don't even really want to be around your teammates on a day-to-day basis because you're embarrassed that you're not doing the work with them. You're not out there doing the hard graft. You know what I mean? You're just in, and players they'll have a little joke with you. Don't fancy it today, or you know what I mean? Especially when it's raining or it's very cold.
Who was throwing that the most?
And that kind of it hits hard. You know what I mean? Like you're like, you know what? I'm the kind of person who wants to be out there, going through the trenches with you. So that's tough. That's tough to take. And any player will tell you injuries are the toughest part, like mentally to deal with. Are you going to come back as strong? You know, it's just a tough time, and it's tough on families as well. It's tough. You go home, you take all these these moods with you. You take them home. So yeah, to have 5 years of that was tough. But I quickly had to get my mind on the fact that I wasn't going to be the player that I hope to be, because mentally I'm in my prime. You know what I mean, 26 and moving on, I should be going into the best years of my career. But I have to accept that I'm sliding. But as long as I'm important to my team, I'm always going to be here. And then when the day comes when I feel like I'm not,
and that was the thing. When the weekend used to come round, it never felt like you taking the week off. Like it didn't seem like you was carrying knocks or anything. So the fact that you were able to still do that, and for me, I think as well, the impressive part of that is what you said, is there's so many mental peaks and troughs you go through within that. But you was actually given the armband when those knee injuries actually started. So you're actually having
I was captain before. I was captain before that, but and I was obviously captain throughout, and that was tough because being a captain is not on the pitch,
having to galvanize.
And as I say, the captain that wants to almost not be around the play because you're embarrassed, that become the toughest part. So the day-to-day was tough. But then when I was able to influence it was when I got onto the pitch, making my teammates better. Making, you know, if I wasn't going to be who I wanted to be, I was going to make you a better player when I'm playing. I'm going to make you a better player when I'm playing. And that was it.
It's crazy though, because you can speak to it better than any of us can. Those few years for Spurs as well, very, very interesting times with the positions you finished in the league and everything. And you're in this position where you're having to sort of motivate people that you're not working with day to day. Like from on that base value, like how do you even do that? Like these guys are just probably thinking that you're just doing whatever. You're coming to the change room and you have to get all of these grown men into order. Like what is that like?
I don't say you have to get them into order,
you're leading them.
You know what? There comes a time where you feel like you're the boss and you have the respect to be able to speak. You know, I was never someone who's just going out shouting and You know what I mean? I've talked to my team in a respectful way. You know, I get them going. I've been at the club since I was a kid. You know what I mean? I'm passionate about the club. I know what it means for the fans. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just giving them that energy, giving them, you know, making sure that they're keeping their standards high. You know, these simple things like that. So yeah, that part was easy. You know, it was the day-to-day, not being on the training pitch to be able to kind of drive the standards in training. Which is tough, but saying that, Robbie was around, Robbie Keane. He was this like,
top player, man.
Yeah, and he was someone who was like
that's
that
like
as well.
Robbie Keane, man. He's an underrated Premier League striker. Try to tell people, if he was playing now,
some of his finishes,
doing his thing, then I'll put him around 2-3, you know?
Robbie was clever, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen, Robbie was one of the only like British players that had like movement. There wasn't too many players that give you all this like in and out different movement. Robbie would like sell you a dummy, you know what I mean? Like to get a bit of space. Like he was clever. And then some of his finishes, they were clever.
And he joined at, like, I felt like a key time for our club as well. And I want to touch on Martin Jol actually, because you spoke before that kind of you were moving around positions, David Plee, Jacques Santini. We had a few different managers, but once Jol came in, it felt like we got a sense of calm, a sense of direction. We saw Genius come in, Huddleston come in, Lennon come in. Like he built a core there. What was that kind of period like, seeing that kind of get built out from your perspective?
So that was, I mean, Santini was probably there for 6 months or so.
was an
He
experiment.
just, I don't know what happened. He just walked out.
That was a post-Euros experiment. I remember he got sacked from France and they was like, yeah, let's try a little something. He's a new hipster manager.
But do you know what happened? We had a game. We was traveling to we had a home game, right? But we were staying in a hotel, just down the road from the stadium. So what we do is we all drive to the stadium and then we get a coach to the hotel. So our cars were at the stadium for the next day. We get to the stadium, then we're told to go in the changing room. Like, okay, so we go in the changing room, then the manager comes and said, I'm leaving. It's like Friday, the day before a game. Like, what?
It was such a weird period at the club.
He just left. I don't know what, we don't know what happened. He just walked out. And but Martin was his number 2.
Okay.
And I think somewhere along the line, they didn't.
Martin said, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm the captain. So look at me.
Gambinos, mate.
So then Martin come into the role. And I feel like that was a period of time, like you say, we had young players coming in. I felt that responsibility, you know, had been at the club since I was a kid to kind of lead that group. And I think that's when we started to kind of transition, you know.
He added some quality as well. Keane, Carrick.
When did the phone get in there?
Defoe came as well.
And Edgar Davids, innit?
Yeah,
Davids.
Yeah. He's one of my favourite.
I've got to tell you, when Davids come in the building, mate,
Was it different?
Talk to me, please.
Because them days, Davids was still doing all the FIFA ads, bro. He was Pepsi, all them things, or whatever it was.
When he signed for the club, for me, it was almost like, oh, now we're trying to move the needle and push the standards. Really, is that what it felt like when he came in?
Well, my dad was gassing up the Davids signing. Wow,
because Edgar had just been to Barcelona and turned their season around.
Yes,
he went there for like the second half of the season. And turned their season around.
Facts.
So he still had like good football in his legs. Do you know what I mean? He could still produce. So when he's come in, like Edgar's is like a superstar, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We watch his adverts. We watched him in World Cups, and you know, he come in, and the first conversation I had with him was in the canteen, and he was all about, what can we win? Can we win? That was the first time I really heard talk about the winning like that. You know what I mean? Like, so he comes straight away. He said, can we win? So I said, yeah, I think we can. We've got a good group. He said, yeah, that's why I'm here. Right? And Edgar was great. He was great with young lads. After training, he'd be working with young kids. He loved football, Edgar. But the best thing I loved about him was he was a madman in the changing room. Before a game, man, he had DMX pumping up in his thing. he was tackling the ball against a brick, like a wall. Firm against the wall. And then we went out and we stood out in the tunnel. You just see the other team looking at him like that. You know what I mean? Everyone was just watching him like that. And it feels good. You know, we're just standing there. I'm watching them, looking at him, thinking, he's one of us. You know what I mean? He's one of our boys. Yeah. But he just brought a mentality to the club, which was great.
Spurs were building something them days though as well, innit? And then after Martin Yeo, it was
Randy Ramos. Before we even get there, there was back-to-back 5th place finishes.
Because you had good players, bro. You had good players.
We should have got Champions League.
Is that Yossi Benayoun?
I would be doing a disservice to Spurs fans if I didn't ask what happened with Lasagne-gate.
Oh my days.
Because that felt like, for the first time since 1989, we were going to get Champions League football. And on the day, everyone is just struck down with illness. So, as the leader of that, just what was happening? The 24 hours kind of.
First of all, I wasn't playing in the last game. So me and JJ, me and Jermaine Genus, and another player, Paul Stalteri,
I remember.
Canadian, said we're going to meet up at the training ground. We're going to get a car down to West Ham to watch the game. Obviously, support the boys, cheer them on. JJ's like, have you heard about the players being sick? And I'm like, no. What? So yeah, apparently like, loads of them are sick. It wasn't until we got in the changing room and we just saw the mood in the changing room. Like the players were just like, they was not ready to go and play football. I don't know how they played, to be honest, because you know what it's like when you're ill. Imagine you've been throwing up, you got a virus or whatever, and you got to go out and run around and play. No. So yeah, it was that was it, you know, and we were hoping that we could maybe get the game postponed or do something, because it was just, I just thought at the time, this is just our luck, isn't it? It's just Tottenham. It's just Tottenham. But
Wenger, we still got eyes on you.
He made boss calls, man. Boss calls, bro. Boss calls went
That
through,
Burgundy kit holder, bro. I'm telling you.
So what did Arsenal do? Did they need?
Arsenal won on the
they
final
won
day.
they
Thierry
won.
Henry hat trick. Yeah, against Wigan.
Yeah,
was it?
and then they nicked it. Yeah. But that kind of period I always remember was almost like the first uplift moment during your career where you just thought, you know what, we're really kind of competing here.
We're getting somewhere.
And then the very next season, it felt like it started off rocky, and Martin Jol got sacked, I think, after the Getafe game in Europe. Yeah. Of course, there's the infamous he got sacked at halftime or whatever it was. What was the Martin Jol sacking like and around that time at the club? And was he actually sacked at halftime?
So, again, I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Midweek. So
midweek.
I think my knee started by this. You know what I mean? So even during his period where the results were bad, I wasn't there. I wasn't. You know. And I remember watching the game, and I actually got a text saying that the manager's gone. What? We're watching the game. Great nuts. So like I've told one or two players, what's this? So we've gone in at half time as normal. And then we come back out, and then the mood was different in the fans. So something had come out, something weird, you know?
Yeah.
Because the second half they were just cheering, the fans were singing his name. And it felt like Martin was the only person who didn't know what was happening. So it was just a weird time. We come back in after the game. He goes in like the manager's room, and we're sitting in our room for like 20 minutes for him to come out. Normally he'd come out after a few minutes and say a few words. We're just sitting there waiting. So 20 minutes later he comes in, starts shaking our hands. So he's off.
Wow,
leaving. So
that's crazy.
So yeah, man, that was. But we liked him. We liked Martin.
But this is why it's crazy, right? Because as you mentioned, you're someone that's this is your club, and with Spurs are one of those clubs where there's moments where there's like hope, but there's been so much turbulence. So as someone that's like you're a symbol of hope to this club. Like you then have to kind of almost like be strong and keep it together as well, because it's like it's so I'm the constant here a little bit.
It's difficult with not only the managers, but also players. Like when we feel like you're getting somewhere,
and then someone gets sold.
Then the best player, one of the,
who was
Carrick.
I was going to say
Berbatov.
Thank you very much.
I was going to say
Robbie.
Which one affected the change room the most? Would you say out of the big ones that departed? Because you just mentioned Berba, Carrick. Who else would have left in that period?
Well, Robbie left. Robbie went to Liverpool just after Berbatov went, I think.
Yeah. What would you say was the biggest one?
So we went from winning the Carling Cup final with
with
Berbatov and Keane.
Yeah.
To playing against Man United in the next year's cup final with Bent and Pavlyuchenko, in the space of a year. So again, when you just won your first trophy, and then the next year we've got a whole different strike force. Do you know what I mean? So I felt like I was constantly a little bit in a rebuilding phase. Players and managers constantly coming and going. And I had to try to be, as much as I could, that one bit of hope that, do you know what I mean? It was going to stay and hopefully improve things.
And speaking of kind of like Martin Jol, there was a good time. Everyone loved him. How different was it when Juan de Ramos comes in afterwards? Because he's coming in, mind you, with a big reputation at the time as well. Coming from Sevilla, winning the UEFA Cups. Are you kind of almost, when he walks in, thinking this is going to be the next step of when we kick on?
Yeah, when his name was mentioned, we was excited. We all loved Martin, but Ramos is coming in, and we've seen his work in Seville. We've seen him win things. So as players, we're excited, but hoping that he can get us there. And when he comes, he changes everything. He changed everything. So we went from looking forward to it to like we don't like this. We don't like this. Listen, he took away. We want to add juice. We want to add sauce on our food. No salt. No, like it was a big change. He said that everyone's overweight. We all have to lose weight.
I remember that. I remember everyone being almost like told they have to lose.
It was all on the diet.
Kilos, and I was like,
it was all on the diet. There was one player that wasn't on the diet.
Who's that?
JJ. He was the only one.
But he's always been like
slim.
He's always been like.
He was the only one. Everyone else had to do extra work after training all the time to lose weight. He had something about, he took 22 players at Seville, they weighed a certain amount. That 22, that group of 20, he expected the 22 players at Tottenham to weigh exactly the same amount as that.
He's trying to recreate the same formula.
That's what it was.
Tipping the scale a little bit.
Yeah. But we had Paul Robinson, we had Tom Huddleston. They were big, like they were big guys.
It was Andy Reid there them days.
Really had gone.
But Andy Reid, you can't have ketchup.
Really was a good player.
He was a
good
winger.
player.
Proper winger. But, proper winger.
The Premier League's different, man. You got to have a little bit of, the players are bigger, stronger, more physical. But anyway, we done it. We done it. Everyone, and to be honest, we were a fitter team for it. And we won something under him. So
after that window, did it feel like it was almost job done and things started to go downhill after that?
No, not really, because I'll tell you the truth. I'd had my operation just before he came in. Big operation where my knee was never the same. So I stopped training. And even before the semi-final to the final, I didn't play. So I played the semi-final against Arsenal. Yeah. And then
that was big because getting the hoodoo back for the year before as well.
That was the get
we
back.
needed to get that get back, maybe.
So there was probably about a month in between the semi-final and the final. I didn't play. I didn't kick a ball in that time. Played the final. As I say, this was a few months after I'd had that operation where my knee never felt the same. So we said that I said to him, I need to sort my knee out. It's not right still. So he said, if we go out of Europe, then you can cut your season and go and sort your knee out. So we lost to, I think, PSV. Gomez was in goal for them. We lost some penalties to PSV.
Some worldies,
And was it PSV? It might have been.
PSV,
So that was like in February, something like that, March. So I stopped my season there. Started like kind of going around the world looking for someone to help my knee. And yeah, kind of the way we finished the season and then the way we started the next season, again, I don't know why, but the manager decided to play me in cup games and not the league games.
Yeah. Weird.
And then he ended up getting sacked. So when I'm not playing, there's something going on here. When I was
there's a pattern here. There's a recurring pattern.
We can't overlook though. Like obviously we mentioned it a little bit, but I mean a trophy for Spurs. That's a rare thing.
That's the last winning captain.
We have to hype.
It's the last winning captain.
Yeah, I'm saying because that's what I'm saying. You wanna as the last captain to win something at Spurs. Do you feel any bit special about that? Because of course we know in my whole lifetime, I think that's the only cup I've seen Spurs win.
I wish it
wasn't
the case, but I wish it wasn't the case.
Yeah, but I mean it is the case. So like, do you still
As a
feel that
Spurs
kind of
fan as
special
well.
feeling towards it?
Yeah, of course. But I want us to win. I want us to win trophies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it's been long enough now. You know what I mean? I've dined out on the trophy for long enough now for us to kind of to have won one now. And I'm hopeful we can do it. I mean, the manager's come in. He looks good. We've come close numerous occasions.
Pochettino, Harry
Poch
Before we actually even get into Harry, what do you actually make of kind of Ange and the current team as well? Actually, because personally, I said it last episode as well, where I actually think he's going to be the manager to almost break our hoodoo. If you like,
I think so.
Are you of the same kind of?
I think that
feeling?
The way we are as a football club, we need our players to play expressive football. That's just the way we've been.
Yeah.
That's going to give us our best chance to win things. When we're not so worried about the opposition and, we worry about our players and what they can do on any given day, that's going to give us the best chance. I think Ange does that with players, doesn't focus on so much nullifying the opposition, but more about getting the best out of our group of players. And I believe that will come. That's no disrespect to the previous managers that we've just had. But, at our football club, we need to look at our strengths and be ourselves, what our identity is. It's attacking kind of flair players.
Facts.
We go out on our shield playing that style of football. And that's the way
you
we
look
win.
at when we've had kind of success over the past recent decades. That's when
even
it's really
the
kind of
finals that we're getting to,
Redknapp
it's going out and
actually trying to impose our game. And I feel like Ange has just come in and really almost brought that feeling of Pochettino's tactical identity, that family togetherness of when Redknapp was there, and just even that kind of the aura that Yo had of that father figure almost. He just kind of come and brought that in, and I just feel like with the players that we have at the moment, all still being such a young core as well, there's something definitely cooking here. So I'm excited for the future.
You see with the way, for example, our Spurs defend now, like there's a high line and Van de Ven and Romero and stuff, and just defending the game now. What's the biggest difference for you in defending in your day and now? Because a lot of people still say maybe the past was better. Some people say it's better now. Where do you stand on that?
It's changed. The game's definitely changed. I think in terms of for a defender, you have to be able to play on the ball. If you're not comfortable with the ball, you're going to get found out. Right? So everyone has to have that in their game, but also tactically, the way opposition players and the position that players are popping up in are asking different questions of centre halves. You know, whether you come out, whether you don't. You know, but back in our day, we used to play mainly against two strikers. You know, now it's kind of three across the front, one main striker. You know, the way I preferred to play against that, because Chelsea used to do it 4-3-3 a little bit. You know, is kind of the two centre halves kind of control that one man. And then trust your fullbacks to be able to a certain degree do 1v1 to a certain degree, unless you're playing against like Messi and all someone who's like, you know, a problem, going to be a very real problem 1v1.
There's something I have to ask you, because you've mentioned the name now, and it's so mad how this conversation is working. It's synonymous with stuff you mentioned before. That final was against Chelsea. We had the joke about it when we met up, whatever. I said that you haven't won one of these, and he's like, I won against your mob. But for you in that moment, as a Spurs fan, like, what did that mean to you? Number one, and number two, a few years down the line, you and that gentleman that you went up against end up working together. I need to know about that experience.
Who's the gentleman?
So, José Mourinho.
So I thought he was my DJ jumper.
I was going to get onto that one later. Oh, that's awesome.
But do you know what? Jose wasn't the man. I think Jose had just left the club just before the final, didn't
it? Of course,
Rosenberg.
Of course,
But I mean, the final for me, I played in the final when I was like 2021, and we lost to Blackburn. We should never have lost. But at the time, I'm thinking, okay, another one. Another chance. This was the next time. You know, by now, I'm 26, 27. I'm captain. So I'm like, this, you know, this could be my last chance. So we've got to do this. We had a group of players that were the right age now. You know, they've matured nicely. As I say, myself, Keane, we had Lennon, Huddleston, you know, he's a good player. Woodgate had just come into the football club. So it was myself and Woodgate's first game together as partners.
That's a good partnership.
What could have been, man? I'm telling you.
That's British core.
That's a very good partnership.
But you know, we was always injured, innit? So we played about four or five games together. That was it. One of us was always that.
18 months, I used to be like, I just want to see them together. I just want to see them together.
But when he come in, it clicked. We understood. We just knew the position. We were mature. We kind of knew our bodies. We knew how to manage the game. We knew how to control like everything around us, and it just clicked. So yeah, to lift the trophy, I decided that I was going to lift it with Robbie because I only played the semi-finals, the two semi-finals and the final. Robbie was captain earlier in the competition. So in my head, I'd already said, I didn't tell Robbie, but I said if we win it, I'll lift it with Robbie.
That's real, man.
So. I'm glad I shared that experience. Robbie was passionate about the club as well. He loved the club. So yeah, that was special. That was special, and just to be part of the history. You know, the fact that we're still kind of talking about that being the last one is way too long. But yeah, to have that moment is special. And then, of course, like Jose was someone who I was a little bit jealous of Chelsea when they had him at the time. Because he come in and
shook things up in it.
But it was the way he did it. So I used to always ask the England boys, like, what's he like? What's he like? And he was like, they used to tell me that, you know, he's quality, man. He knows how to get the best out of everyone. He's full of mind games. Do you know what I mean? What we told you, what he said before the pre-match was to get you to do that. You know what I mean? He was telling us that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what. He wanted you to, like, he said, they're a good team. They can cause us problems. That's because he wanted you to come out and play. He wanted you to have a go. You know what I mean? Because I think we parked a bus one time and it was 0-0 and he didn't like that. I'd met Jose, played against him obviously, but never really didn't really know him. It was random, man. I was doing my ambassador role. When he joined the football club, I bumped into him, started speaking. He said, I want you on the training pitch. So I'm not a coach. He said, doesn't matter. I want you on the training pitch. So I started going and watching, speaking to players, helping out how I could. This was just before the lockdown. Lockdown happened. I went away. The team come back, finished the season. I stayed away. In the summer, getting a trim and FaceTime, José. Didn't even know he had my number. So I had to jump out the seat, go somewhere quiet. José said,
You know, half the trim still on like, yes, Jose. Only showing half the face.
I did have the thing. Come like priest. I had the thing. I was sitting on the step outside my friend's house, and he said, basically, I want you next season to be part of the coaching staff. He said, one of my guys is leaving.
Yeah.
I want you to come in. And I'm like,
What's that
can't turn it down, can I? You know what I mean? I couldn't.
What's that like? Because obviously you've heard the stories now, but now you're getting almost the inside, and especially during that COVID era as well. I remember Jose came in at a tough period.
It's a tough period.
After Pochettino.
So the season that I had joined, there was no fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was tough. It was tough. It was a little bit scary because you're working with someone who's so successful, but so intense, so passionate. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know much about him, so I need to learn what he likes, what he don't like. And I'm out of my comfort zone to a certain degree because I was never a coach. So all these things are playing in your head. So I had to pick it up quickly. He was good. He was great. He was great with me.
Do you have a favourite story time? Do you have a favourite Jose story?
This was Netflix era.
Because Jose has it was. It must have been around that time. Was it around?
No.
that time?
The Netflix was the season before.
Oh, that was
the season before.
So have you got any stories? Because Jose, everyone that's been around Jose has a story about Jose.
Or even a moment where you thought,
genius
this
or
is
whatever.
it.
Yeah,
because I remember there were certain games where he would kind of tweak things.
Do you know what he was? You know what he was great at? Seeing what was going to happen. So you go in at half time and he'd almost tell the team what was going to happen because of just such experience and reading of the game. He knew what was going to happen. They're going to do this, and then about 70 minutes, they're probably going to make a couple of substitutes and bring this on. This is what we need to do when they do that. And he just knew the game, and he was great at preparing the team for every situation. And I always say the story, like, beginning of the season, we was going well. Like, we beat Arsenal 2-0 at home, beat Man City 2-0 at home, beat Man United 6-1 at Old Trafford.
Good times,
6-1. Good over 6-1.
man.
We're no fans. You know that don't
Remember that?
Hey, come
Look
on.
at that. We hit them for
Lamella.
6.
Got in that head.
That don't count,
Martial gone.
This time, I'm thinking,
We're going to do it.
we're going to win the league.
We're going to do something.
No, we was cooking.
Because normally I wouldn't think that we're going to win the league, but because we got Jose,
It's like,
I'm thinking we're going to win the league.
Jose, wait.
And then, it just fell away, man. It fell away. It fell away.
It's crazy, man.
But no, it's great
But even
experience.
like, that's one thing I've always respected Spurs for, because you mentioned being back in that capacity. Obviously, Jermaine Defoe's done it.
Yeah, Jermaine's there now, yeah.
Hugo, rest in peace. He's been
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
good,
There's the way that they cultivate former players to be a part of that community fabric, and like, you're just, I guess, the epitome of that in many senses. So that I respect that highly, man.
Yeah. I was gonna go ask about Redknapp though. I feel like he deserves to be spoken about because
so glowingly.
yeah,
that was the best period for me. Like, the best players that we had.
That's what I wanted to ask about them. That was
because that I felt like we had the Martin Yo era and that was nice and we got close, but Redknapp almost came and delivered. And what he did was he added. You see how I said with the geniuses, the Lennons, he added that quality of the Modric. the Bales, the Van der Vaarts, and he almost brought that European factor. You're like, oh,
man.
you know what?
Can't forget Nico Crancher.
Hey, Nico
Crancher.
Cranch.
Yeah, I know.
Harry's red book, your phone book, and Harry's phone book.
Allow it, bro.
We had like people like Nico Crancher was a baller, that he couldn't get in the team. We had Pienaar as well. You remember Pienaar was balling back in the day?
Yes. Crazy.
Couldn't get in. Pavlyuchenko on the bench. We had like a strong team.
Pavlyuchenko
We brought in Zaha, Louis Zaha for
United, yeah.
We brought Adebayor in.
Yes.
Johnson.
Man,
Good Johnson. We had Good Johnson.
I love
Listen,
Johnson.
we had obviously Luca,
Bro, this is what I'm saying.
Van der Vaart.
Yeah.
Van der
Van der Vaart, like, oh man.
Who's the best?
What was-
Who's the best?
Yeah.
In training, and who was
I
the
wasn't
best on the
training.
pitch?
Was that? I wasn't out there, was that?
I mean,
I was looking out the window.
you're watching,
I was watching out the window.
watching from CCTV.
But you know what? We had a window that only opened up like away from you, and it opened up about that much. It had to be like that. It had to be like that to be watching it. No. Listen, I trained with him. Luca was magic.
Wow.
Luca was magic.
Yeah.
Like,
Could you?
some of his balance, the things he could do with the ball. I've seen him go to Anfield and be the best player on the pitch, playing against Gerrard.
Yeah.
See it. Gareth just grew and grew and grew and grew into a beast. No one saw that. I don't know how that happened.
How did that?
I want to speak on that one actually, because like when he came in, I remember there was a streak of like the first 23 games we hadn't won or something like that, and you could see he was a prospect and a talent at Southampton, but you didn't know exactly what his ceiling was going to be. What was that growth like, seeing it from kind of your perspective? Because you must be thinking, all right, he's decent, but what he went on to do in that night in San Siro, I don't think any Spurs, and it was like as soon as the penny dropped, there was no going back.
Yeah. I don't think he knew that he could become the player he was. He came in as a left back or left wing back. I knew he had a wand on him.
Yeah,
he had a wand and he could run. So I thought he could be great in that position as a wing back. But what he grew into, I don't know how it happened. He ended up playing left midfield, and then what he was able to do from that position, it became a situation where we're like, you know what, we just play where you want to play because you're winning games for us. So there was times where he started playing like through the middle, up top, played him on the right, wherever he felt comfortable. We let him go. He was the season that he left to go to Madrid. That season, he scored 9 winning goals. I haven't seen anyone in a Tottenham kit play like that.
I remember
play like that.
Norwich,
Not even Harry
West
Kane.
Ham.
Not if you're
to
that,
that
level, not that level.
Single-handedly
Devastation,
winning
like,
games.
Yeah.
That he was picking balls up from halfway lines and just almost driving it and just pop shots out of nowhere, flying in.
He was for me. He was probably the third best player at that time behind Ronaldo and Messi. When he left to go to Madrid.
So you see with when you were talking about Luka Modric, because a lot of people seem to only give him his flowers from what he did at Real Madrid. And I vividly remember, because we were there, you know what I mean? I remember once the Lampard and Gerrard kind of started moving away a little bit, Fabregas and Modric were like the 2 centre midfielders in the league. I feel like people don't speak on that moment enough. Can you speak about Modric at Spurs? Like, did you see him going to be this legend that he's become, this all-time great Ballon d'Ors? Crazy, but
that's crazy. But you got to be in the right team to be able to have these accolades. Do you know what I mean? So anyone that played with Luka will tell you how good he was. But in a way similar to myself, unless you're playing in a certain team, you can't. Individuals can tell you was the best. But for me, you can't be called the best because there's people that are winning things. So that's how I feel about myself. With I feel like I feel like I was with the others, like the best players in the league. But you can't, as a collective, you can't say I am the best. But individuals can say that through the eye test. I think you're the best.
Those who know that know.
But if there's a list,
Yeah.
that's done properly, you can't put me at the top.
Yeah.
You understand that? And that's how Luka would be if he stayed at Tottenham.
Yeah.
But everyone knows that he can do more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or he can go to another team and he's going to get the flowers that he deserves. Do you know what I mean? Because we saw him doing the same things at Tottenham. But then when you see it on the highest level, that's when you're going to get what you deserve.
When you think about like your journey, your career, like how do you feel when you look back at it? Because ultimately, massive achievements there. Like there's so much you've done.
Yeah.
We still say it now. You're still a symbol of hope to this massive football club. Like, how do you look back on your career personally?
I suppose there's two sides of it. There's a disappointment to it that I couldn't become the player that I envisaged in my head. And I feel like I was kind of on the path because from a young age I wanted to be the best in my position. I felt like that was something that was achievable. I was going along the path to do that. So disappointed that I couldn't do that. But then the other side of me is proud that when I couldn't train, I still managed to be out there, still be an important player to my team. 4 years in to not training, I'm still getting picked by England to go to the World Cup and stuff like that. To go like that, that's 4 years into not training, which is crazy. So I looked for the next challenge. Do you know what I mean? So I couldn't be the player I wanted to be, but the next challenge was to make sure I'm still a big influence on my team. I'm still the best I can be with not training. Basically. I suppose.
And just to that disappointment, I don't think you should be too disappointed. I know obviously it's almost uncontrollable things you can't control, but I feel like the fact that you went that many years with that injury to still play, the amount of people that would have retired first week, the first month, the first year. And I know some might say, oh, but longer term, maybe it's had an effect or things like that. But I just feel like that kind of mentality to still want to get that best out of yourself because you knew the ability of what you could reach. And you're like, all right, even if I can't reach that, I'm going to try my best to at least deliver this. You know what I mean? So I think
if I was getting rinsed every week,
massively proud of that.
If I was getting rinsed every week, I don't know if I would. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because I tell you the truth, like, even the last season I played 23 games, right? So people would think, before you retire, you probably only played 5 or 6 games. I played 23 in my last season, which is still
good
all right.
numbers,
The first half of the season, I felt good. I think played 11 or 12 games. We hadn't lost. I remember we had Man City, right? We were both top of the league. I think we was first and second.
Yeah.
I was feeling so good weeks before that I was training, buzzing around. I was enjoying it. And the young goalkeeper clattered into me, fell on my knee swelled up. I was out for 3 or 4 weeks. Then it come the Man City game. I'm like, I got to play. Just took the fluid out of my knee. Played, was never ready to play. Come back for that game. We lost 3-2. Gave away the penalty last minute. Remember? So that was the beginning of the end. After that, coming back, I never felt the same. Never felt the same. So that second half of the season.
And was that almost like the moment where you was like, all right, I need to hang it up?
For the first time, I stopped enjoying it because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And I remember playing against Norwich, one game in particular where I think it was a guy called Grant Holt, I think it was.
Yeah.
that's
Man like
Premier
Grant
League
Holt.
heritage.
Of a centre forward.
Striker. Big
It was like he was R9, bro, that day. For me, it was like, and that was. I said, no. I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore.
I'm good. That's what's fake reality.
I didn't want to play anymore after that, man. That's what
But I think it's so many like former players say that. Like we hear Rio saying it. We have
Gary Neville as well,
so
when
many
he
that
retired.
they have this moment where they look and they go, "Yeah, I'm just not myself anymore." But to Fuad's point, I think you have to just listen to words like Rio say. These are like your peers saying that. Listen, when you're talking about the talk, you have to mention Ledley there.
Have you heard what Thierry Henry said about
Rio
him?
was the best. Rio was the best for me.
Yeah.
He was the
Like
best.
I think like I was on that level in terms of, but when it's all said and done, I think with accomplishments, with the type of player that I enjoy and love, Rio is the best. I think Terry was there as well. But yeah, I played with obviously Rio for England. Never played together as centre halves randomly. I played in midfield when he played at the back. But you know, when I spoke to Rio, we enjoyed the same things as players. We enjoyed being defenders.
Two ballers at the back. That's
We enjoyed it. But Rio was more flash with it. Like, Rio was like, you know,
the volleys and all sorts.
So, but yeah, I was a bit more modest, but also, yeah, I don't know, Rio.
Let's put some sprinklers.
Like Ledley actually, I never used to see him doing crow turns by near his box.
No. It was a little.
When it was time to clear the ball,
But
Ledley never cleared the ball.
No,
bro.
but do you know what the difference is?
I never kicked the ball I played.
Do you know what the difference is? Rio was doing it with braids on that. With a level 1.
Come on, man.
No. Listen, when I played with Rio, he used to make some noise when he was doing his skills in training. He used to let everyone know, like, do you know what I mean? Rio was,
man.
for me, he was the best. And John Terry.
You was going to say about the Henry.
Yeah, so have you seen Thierry Henry's quote about you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
about the. He said. So
You think I'm gonna let that go unmissed?
It's got that frame.
I'm gonna let that go.
Let man know.
No, what did he say? What did he say?
What did he say? Tell him again.
Tell me one more time.
For the
One
people
time.
that don't know, he said of all the defenders in the Premier League that he's played against, the only one that could tackle him without fouling was Ledley King. The only one. That's Thierry Henry, who I think is unanimously seen as the GOAT of the Premier League in terms of players.
It's the best striker I played against.
So I just think words like that is just unreal to
like-
because we have a lot of younger viewers as well, so a lot of them might not have even seen you in your best. So this is the level of player that
We
we're
might have
talking
lost
about.
a lot of those
But
North
also he's
London
a-
derbies, but the
that's the
clashes
thing.
between those two.
But he's a rival as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to say that.
Exactly.
And I don't even know if we ever won a game against them
Yeah.
because they were that good.
Yeah,
back
I
then.
saw
Do
you
know what I mean?
lot's face off actually. You remember you lot done a
Yeah,
face off
yeah,
before,
yeah.
and you were like, I don't know if we won a game against you.
Yeah, that's
Henry's
what I
like,
mean. That's what I mean. Yeah, man. But
joke,
listen,
Crazy, man.
Perez was a problem.
Yeah.
Vieira, Bergkamp.
yeah.
There was a problem. When we played well, we got a draw. Like,
Yeah,
we had to
yeah.
play out our skin to get a draw
What
against them.
about that day? I don't know. I'm not sure. I need to check. I'm not sure if you played that day, but you'll tell me. When they won at White Hart Lane, when Arsenal won the title at White Hart Lane.
The game was a draw.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was
The game was
that
a
was
draw.
the
The game
Vieira
was a
score.
draw.
Perez scored
Tarico
the
getting
yeah, that was
Henry's face. I remember. Yeah.
Was it?
What
It
was-
was a draw, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a draw, yeah.
What was that like for them to win on White Hart Lane?
Spurs player
And
as well.
not only that, for them to intentionally celebrate on at the ground like that.
It was one of them where it was like in between a rock and a hard place, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah.
they've done all the hard work and then it just randomly it's us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can win it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So listen, we tried our best to just try to stop them. We actually took a bit of joy in the fact that they didn't win.
Yeah.
And we got a draw, but yeah, it wasn't enough. So listen, that's football. Listen, they done it throughout the course of the season. It was bad for us, bad luck for us. That it was at our place. We went inside. I'm sure the stadium was empty from our side.
They'll never
Outside the fans.
You got to turn the lights off in the stadium.
maybe
and
it was-
everything. Yo, get out, man.
get out.
Find your own way out. You know, like at goals. When you finish,
No, you know
switch the
like
lights
Spanish
off, man.
football. No, this game only 20 away fans.
lock the doors. Let them stay in there, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Oh
but
man, listen,
Should have
man.
done something to them.
Ledley,
Yeah,
honestly, it's been amazing. Before you go, we've got quick fire. Before we go quick fire though, obviously, as you mentioned, we've got young audience that watch. We've got young players, whatever that watch. For you, what's one piece of advice that you've gathered in your whole career that you'd give to your younger self now?
I think for any player, really, the older players used to always tell me, man, just appreciate every day that you have, in your career to improve, to get better.
Yeah.
They used to tell me how quick it goes past, and at 19, I'm like, yeah.
plenty of time.
And then all of a sudden I'm 30, telling the other players this and that. So, to appreciate what they do, anyone who's fortunate enough to be a player at a football club, it's a special thing. You've got a special opportunity and you live in your dream to be able to do that, do something that you love. So just appreciate it, work as hard as possible.
Yeah.
And, it's a short career, so give it everything.
No, it's beautiful, man. Should we get into some quick fire?
Yeah.
You ready? Yeah.
Yep.
I know you like to move about, so we'll do it quick. Ready?
Go.
Best manager you played for?
Is it easy?
Is it?
I
You
think
don't
I
sound
know
like
the
sentiment.
Yeah,
The guy
listen,
who
I
won
tell
the
you-
game.
know what,
with
actually,
Tottenham.
I tell you, it could have been Glenn Hoddle if he'd been.
Yeah.
He would have been
I
very
was
good.
thinking that.
But I have to say Harry.
Harry Redknapp. Best teammate in training? You've got a lot to pick from as well.
You know what I'm just thinking about? It might be a sleeper. What was Adel Taarabt like? You know what I mean? Anyone that I know plays it
Can we hold
Taarabt.
fire on your quick fire? Because I actually completely forgot to ask that. During that period when Van der Vaart, Modric and all them came, we also got Kevin Prince Boateng,
was there as well.
Taarabt,
Wow.
and
That was like FIFA Street.
Giovanni Dos Santos. Yeah,
yes.
Giovanni Dos
Dos
Santos.
Santos.
So you had
That was
those
talent.
three
That was
pull up
talent,
in
yeah.
about an 18-month period.
Talent.
You must be thinking the future of Spurs is in safe hands. What was it? The way their career transpired, they obviously didn't succeed at Spurs, but what was the reason why they didn't work out at Tottenham?
It was difficult. They were the young lads, right? So they all had a lot of ability. Probably London, to be honest. For them three, it was probably London that was the big problem. Yeah, they was,
Pipe boys, man.
Yeah, Kevin will tell. I'm sure Kevin will say now, looking back, he regrets. He has some regrets about the way he was back then. Adele was a little bit the same, not really looking after himself to the elite level, maybe as it needs to be. But they was all talented. I mean, going back to Adele, like the problem with Adele was he'd do everything. He'd do all the step overs, nutmeg, and then it was the last part of the game that was missing for him. That was missing for him. But sometimes young players, all they need is just that love.
Arm around the
that
shoulder,
love and that nurturing. You can get a different manager for the same group of players. And it can be totally different for them. So you need that bit of luck as well. Because Kevin as well, like Kevin's a talent.
Mad talent.
Kevin was a talent. We didn't really see that at Tottenham. We didn't see enough of that. And sometimes players just need time and the right person.
Who would you go for best teammate and trainer then?
Let's go Defoe.
Gunman. No backlift.
Defoe still needs to come on as well. He gave us his word.
Defoe's feisty as well. Like,
he gave us his word. He said he'll come on. We'll get him eventually. Best teammate on ability.
Ooh, pure ability.
Pure
Oh,
ability.
and by the way, this could include England as well. Anyone.
Any teammate that you've played.
Ooh, ability. I mean, England players, they're not. Most of them were not skilled. Like you look at the Gerrards, the Scholes. It's not like they've obviously they're so much ability, but it's the different type. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you the one who should have been like special in terms of ability, Joe Cole. When he was a kid, that was the guy that was the most natural ball player. But he was like a number 10, and back then we didn't have number 10s. So we put you on the left wing, don't we? But if Joe was playing in today's football, where he started at West Ham, he
many people.
What was Wayne Rooney like in terms of?
Rooney was like when he first burst on the scene. Like I remember the Euros when he was 18 against France.
And you were with him, did it feel like young boys just carrying?
Hey, Big Ledley's going,
bro.
Forget it, man. Forget it.
But Ledley, people don't put respect on him no more.
But you see what he was doing to Thuram and Gallas, and like he was leaving them for dust. I think sometimes with Wayne is that people, it's like they want more out of his career, even though he's achieved, so much. They want more because they go back to that 18-year-old and they think he could have been even better. Maybe he just peaked early in his career. Do you know what I mean? And maybe he didn't look after himself the way the players do now. I think a lot of us are guilty of that because the game's moved on, it's changed. But Wayne was top as well.
That's a good one. Toughest opposition faced.
Did I say Grant Holt?
Don't kill me. No. Grant Holt PR today has gone up.
No. Do you know what? No. You know what? I played against rude Van. I played against bad boys. Played against some Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho. Oh my.
You played against some bad boys.
Obviously Ronaldo. But the toughest time I would say I had was when I played midfield for England against Riquelme, and that was
real hoops.
That was just when I realised, not midfield anymore. No more.
That centre back team looks cool.
I can see everything.
That's how you really.
I can see everything, man. It's different. It's different in the middle.
Happens to me, bro.
It's different in the middle, man.
Crazy,
you come against one demon and you're like, you know what? That midfield team is long.
I want to be the best in the world, and the world is a big place.
It went back to. It took me back to that. Yeah, mate. Different.
Oh man.
Madness.
Worst atmosphere faced. Been to a lot of different stadiums, a lot of great matches.
When you say worst, I mean
Tough.
I remember going.
toughest,
I remember going
intimidating.
to. I remember we went to like Turkey. We went to Besiktas, right? And that atmosphere when you go to places like that is different to the Premier League.
Yeah,
like it's not Premier League's not hostile.
Pyrotechnics in the crowd.
Yeah. Premier League's not hostile compared to there. You know, like places like that. That felt scary. You know, but
fireworks, flares.
I remember we played the game, and at the end of the game, the fans were applauding us off the pitch. We beat them 2-0. They applauded us. So
They wouldn't
kind of
applaud
turned them
their
around.
team,
Yeah.
They went off.
It was like Rocky. We took them, you know, we took the crowd around.
I love it.
Oh man, worst goal conceded.
Oh, jeez. Do you know what? It wasn't much of an own goal, man.
Not like own goal, but like a goal that like you played a part in. Like, you know, you said you gave away the penalty for that one. Like, what's the goal that you gave away and you thought?
That, I'll tell you what one. So there's that one. And I done one when I was speaking about the final early in my career. I kind of made a bit of a mistake. There was a bit more action to it.
There's a bit more. I go bury those tapes. Don't worry, Ledley. I know you. We gonna bury those tapes.
Yeah. There was probably that one because that was a cup final, wasn't it? So that ended up being the winner. Andy Cole scored the.
Big guy. I remember we asked Lescott that, and he said,
Right, do you know what Lescott's was? Remember the last game of the season against QPR?
Yeah.
Remember his backheader?
Oh my god,
He almost
he changed history.
What was the score when he done that?
He made it. They made. That's when Mackie scored. I think he made it. They made it 2-1 to QPR. I believe it was.
He nearly changed history.
Crazy.
Cool. So this one, your all-star five-a-side team. So that can be players that you played with, played against. If you were to put
Now, do played with and played against separately, because we'll put this against each other.
Yeah.
The ones that you played with and the ones that you played against. The five-a-side team. No goalkeepers.
No, stop disrespecting goalkeepers, man.
Why do we want to see Paul Robinson?
the goalkeepers, man. Respect goalkeepers, but we'll leave them out.
Respect goalkeepers, bro.
Right, nobody wants to see that.
Hey fam, some of our fans are goalkeeper enthusiasts, man.
Yeah, go be a striker. No?
If his players played with,
Yeah.
Luca for sure. Gareth, Bell,
England is included as well.
England as well.
Yeah.
100%. Those two probably still stay there.
Yeah, I think
Gerrard, because he can do everything.
Yeah.
Everything,
In the five side.
Yourself?
No,
We need a strike. We need a real like Defoe because that's his.
Okay.
That's his bag. Five-a-sides are him.
Five-a-side.
That's four.
He's a problem.
One more.
So we need a defender. So Rio.
Yeah, that's a
cold.
solid five, bro. That's one of our best fives. Sean Wright's was crazy.
Sean Wright's was
Sean Wright's on that
insane.
crazy.
Sean Wright's against was insane.
Did he have
Yeah.
Aguero up front or who did he have up front?
up top? We need to go back to the
No, he did have Aguero up front.
Yeah,
He had
Aguero,
He
yeah.
had Aguero up front.
Sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he
I'm
did.
sure he had Aguero up front.
Who's
We'll have to check the tapes.
who that you played against?
Against.
There's some
So
international as well.
yeah, I'm trying to think defenders. Let's go. Zidane,
Thierry.
Ronaldinho,
It's two.
Cristiano,
3,
Henry.
4.
Got to stick a defender in there just for the sake of it. I think I've played against. I might have played against Nesta for Italy. I'm not sure. I can't say that one for sure. So who else did I play against? I played Thuram. I played against Thuram.
That's crazy. That's a mad five. That's a
Hey, I like that.
That's a
Get on the graphics for that one. Trust me.
That's
That
a
is
crazy
crazy.
five. Biggest personal highlight of all of it.
It's got to be a cup final.
Yeah, it's got to be the cup final,
final,
really. Yeah.
Lift the
Being the captain.
Yeah.
What we say was a low moment, biggest low moment.
Obviously losing finals is big. They're big occasions. So yeah, if it's a football match, then it's got to be a final because there was never any one other game that meant as much. Just one game. You know? So yeah, probably the first cup final that I lost, the Blackburn one. Yeah, having a part in that probably is a regret.
To round us up and bring us home, please finish this sentence. I believe under Ange, Spurs will ...
Break the trophy curse for sure.
Nice.
And I believe this season they were finishing the top 4.
Hey, I like that.
Listen,
I like that.
Can we give it a round of applause for how dripped he came today.
Hey,
You think I didn't?
This is different.
Man, bro.
I say dude, I recognize before we started filming, bro.
Different.
I appreciate it.
Different. Listen,
He knew the set.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Nah, for real.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And it's only right we give respect to legends, man. As we said, we've got a young audience, but it's important they know that.
Yeah.
There's people that set the precedent of what you're seeing today. All of this fancy ball playing out the back stuff. This is
Rolls
that's originated.
Royce.
They
Voices
Pep
were
created
around.
that. They weren't there.
But do you know where the kids know me from now? FIFA.
Nah.
So that's where they know me from. They tell me, I got your card or this or this or that. And I'm like,
It's a
cool.
good entry
As long as you.
We'll run the
I'm
tapes,
like,
don't
what
worry.
am I like on there? They said I'm good. So
We'll take it.
That is
We'll
another
take it.
episode of FCM. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, drop your comments on this episode as well. We will be back with more specials. You already know what to do. We out.